With the restart of student loan repayments happening very, very quickly, you might be looking into the type of repayment plan that your student loans are currently in. That may be Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF. If you're unclear about this program, or maybe you've been on it in the past, you jumped off, you want to jump back on, stick around in this video. I'm going to be explaining everything about Public Service Loan Forgiveness in this one. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Justine, your host of the Debt Free Millennials YouTube channel, where we are committed to crushing debt, achieving financial confidence that leads to more fun and less payments. If you are into that lifestyle or want to achieve that lifestyle, click the red subscribe button below so that you never miss another video from me. Let's talk about Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF. Now, this type of student loan forgiveness program is available through the Department of Education. When you make 120 qualifying monthly payments through this program, any remaining balances afterwards are forgiven. Now, in order to be on PSLF, you have to be with a qualified employer during that time of making those 120 qualifying payments. I will say upfront that historically this program has sucked. Applicants who wanted to be approved for PSLF were actually denied because the system was so outdated and clunky and had a lot of really unnecessary requirements that actually denied people when they were supposed to be approved. And also, people who thought they were on repayment plans that actually counted toward PSLF weren't. Thankfully, the Biden administration did a major overhaul of this program, so we're going to see a lot of different changes implemented with this program. So let's talk about exactly what's been changed so far. First, consolidating your direct student loans will not erase any previous progress that you've made in the past. Before, when you consolidated direct loans, it actually reset the clock to zero on those qualifying payments. Now they've erased that change, thankfully, so that your qualified payments, when you consolidate the direct loans, are still counted towards PSLF. Next, more deferment and forbearance periods are going to be counted towards PSLF, and borrowers can actually buy back their time if they were on a non-qualifying payment plan before and now it is being qualified. You can actually buy back that time and have it count towards your PSLF. Next, they've expanded the employment criteria, and borrowers who've made late payments or multiple payments or payments in a lump sum actually still count towards PSLF. In the past, in order to make a qualifying payment, you had to make that payment in full within 15 days of the due date. Not every single borrower is eligible for PSLF. You have to be working for a qualified employer. That includes US-based government organizations, including the military, and not-for-profit organizations, plus AmeriCorps and the Peace Corps. There's also a section of other qualifying public service employers. So let's take a look. So on studentaid.gov, you can go on here. I will leave a link to this in the description box below. There are other different organizations that you work for that could qualify for Public Service Loan Forgiveness, including all of these up here: public safety, and then if you click the drop down, you can kind of get an explanation of this: law enforcement, public interest law, early childhood education, teachers, public health, public education. So any type of school system that you might be a part of, public library services, public services for the elderly. Any of these organizations or employers that you are working for would qualify under PSLF. There is a really helpful PSLF help tool that you can use on studentaid.gov to see whether or not you have a qualified employer. In fact, all you need is your last W-2, or at the very least your employer's EIN number. Plug that into the system and see if they're actually listed as a qualifying employer. I think that's step number one before you even try to fill out the entire form, is just seeing whether or not your employer qualifies. So those who are not eligible would be any kind of for-profit organization, labor union, or partisan political organizations would not qualify for PSLF. Let's talk about what types of loans are eligible. All of your direct subsidized loans, direct unsubsidized loans, direct consolidated loans, and direct plus loans are eligible for this program. There are a few federal loans that are not eligible for PSLF, including the Federal Family Education Loan, the FFEL loans. Those were actually retired in 2010, so I don't think a lot of us really have those types of loans anymore. Plus, the federal Perkins loans are not eligible, and any student loans with a private lender are not eligible. You might be asking yourself, well, what about when my loans were in administrative forbearance due to the pandemic? Do those count? So this does qualify as part of your time for the 120 qualifying monthly payments. Even though you weren't required to make those payments during the CARES Act, you still will be able to have that time counted towards PSLF, which is really amazing and incredible for those who are wanting to get on this program. Now, just be sure that you certify that you are with an employer who also qualifies you for PSLF. And note, when we are talking about qualified employment, it's very likely that you could have been working for a qualifying employer and then jumped ship and then worked for maybe a for-profit organization and then came back. Your time is basically paused when you were with a non-qualifying employer. When you go back to a qualifying employer, then your payments in that time continues to accrue. So if you left after 60 qualifying payments and then a year or two goes by with you working for a non-qualifying employer and then you go back, then you start at 60. Your time doesn't reset to 0. All income-driven repayment plans and the standard repayment plan qualify for public service loan forgiveness. In the past, this was really tricky because you had to be on a certain IDR plan, and now it's just really simple. All the IDR plans count. A note on the standard repayment plan though. The standard repayment plan is a 10-year plan, and so is PSLF. By the time that you get done with the standard repayment plan, you'll most likely have your student loans paid off. It was designed for you to pay off the entire balance of your student loan debt on the standard repayment plan. The only caveat to that would be if you were in qualifying forbearance or deferment periods and you still had a remaining balance after the 120 qualifying payments, that's when maybe that situation would actually work in your favor. Most of the time you're going to be looking at an IDR plan as it relates to PSLF. And I want to mention this because as I was doing my research on studentaid.gov, I actually found some repayment plans that do not qualify for PSLF. And a big one here is any direct consolidation loans under the standard repayment plan do not qualify, which if you rewind to the beginning of the video, remember what I said? I said that direct consolidation loans are eligible, and also the standard repayment plan is a type of repayment plan that is eligible, but combined they're ineligible. Also, the graduated and extended repayment plans are not eligible. So be very clear on exactly what repayment plan that you're on. Typically, it's going to be that income-driven repayment plan if you want to go ahead and move forward with PSLF. So what exactly do you need to do in order to qualify and get on the public service loan forgiveness train? You need to submit the PSLF form on studentaid.gov annually or whenever you change employers. Make sure you basically recertify yourself for that program in order to be eligible. And you might be asking, would this be a beneficial plan for me to help me pay off my debt faster? And the short answer of this is no. This is not a fast way to pay off your debt. This is a 10-year plan at minimum, if not more. And so if you're really wanting to pay off your debt faster, and typically when I'm working one-on-one with clients, we're looking at 5 years or less to pay off the debt. This is not something that I would typically look at in terms of paying off debt fast. However, I really do see the benefits of PSLF now that they've made a lot of changes that actually make it beneficial for borrowers, and that it's hopefully not going to be a 1% acceptance rate, that it's going to be a lot higher. If you have really high student loan debt and you're working in the public service sector, especially if, let's say, you've racked up a ton of student loan debt and you're a teacher and your teacher salary is just not cutting it, this could potentially be a program that you look at. I'm also thinking about doctors who just got done with their residency and they're starting those student loan repayment plans, but they have literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. Even though they're making a high salary, most likely their debt is going to be higher than their annual salary. This would be especially good if that same doctor were dealing with high interest debt on the other side of things. I'm thinking credit cards, car loans, personal loans. If they're racking up all sorts of different types of debt, perhaps getting on an IDR plan and qualifying for PSLF because they know they're going to be working for a nonprofit hospital, this could be something that they look at. However, this is not the short, get done and dirty, debt-free plan. This is the long haul. However, it could make sense for some people. If that's you, let me know in the comments. Have you considered PSLF? Have you been on it? What's been your experience? There's a lot of really great positive changes, I think, that are coming out of this program, especially with Biden kind of doing the overhaul. And I think that's really going to help us just bear that weight of student loans a little bit easier, especially for this type of borrower. If you like this content, if you want to see more updates on student loans as it pertains to millennials and our milestones and what we want to do with our finances, definitely give me a thumbs up and I'll catch you in the next video.